Every winter, your sales are not where they should be.
Damn, you tell them.
Our top winter item last year made $35,000.
If your sales are freezing up.
You should stay tuned to learn what items are renting out all winter long.
How to identify them.
And how to improve your overall winter sales. In this video, we're going to go over 4 different things that I want you guys to stay tuned. The last thing is the most important. The first thing we're going to go over is exactly how to use your own data to figure out what items you're going to be renting out. The second thing is going to be how weather in your time zone is going to be a really determination of what equipment you need to purchase. And the third thing is going to be over how close you are to a Metroplex is going to determine how much business you get. And the last thing is going to be the best thing. I'm going to show you exactly what we rent out so that you can know exactly what you should do. So Eddie, how do you use our data?
How do we use our data? Like from the previous years?
Yeah.
Oh, basically what we do is a lot of things we get like requests from customers and, we don't have it, or, we're short a certain item, like the demand is so high, like it flies off the shelves. We basically increase inventory on whatever that specific item is. Like for instance, in the wintertime, a lot of things that go out is heaters. People can't get enough of those heaters because what happens is when it gets extremely cold, at least here in Texas, everybody runs to the store and tries to buy a heater. And, supplies are short and they don't have it anymore. So the next best thing is to rent it from somebody that does have it. And that's where we're here. And but this year and the previous year, we've done better. I know the first time that we originally started off, we were like, man, let's get on heaters because we keep getting these requests. And I felt like it was like Christmas when I was a kid and everybody was like looking for that specific toy. Well, that's how it was with heaters. Like everybody was like on high demand, and we went to like so many different Home Depots trying to look for this thing. And then we found like 4 of them. And I think they accidentally sold us somebody else's stuff that they were holding for. Oh yeah. And then the people got there, and then they were like, they were ready to fight over these heaters, and we're like, we're like, we'll sell it to you for 3 times the price. Come on over here. But yeah, so we were just egging him on, but he didn't want to do nothing.
Yeah. So generally, what we have a sheet, and it has over a list of all the equipment that is requested and when the equipment was requested. This is something that the sales team keeps in there, and then I go over and I'll look into it, and then sometimes if we don't have it, I'll throw it on the list and see what kind of goes and see when it goes. Like we have like all these yard games and stuff we had first at. We didn't have those at first. We just put them on there, and now we have all of them because people have ordered them. So that's kind of the first part of kind of what we do for the data wise. And then also too, like we have these reports, and these reports show what stuff goes out every week. We don't have a lot of bigger tents going out this week just because it's the week after Thanksgiving. Generally, it's not really a big tent week for us. And then you look through there, we see right now, I think we have 13 heaters. Usually heaters are put on late, so the colder it gets. So right now, I think yesterday was like 37 degrees at one point during the day, and now I think it's like 50. So if it stays around that standpoint, by the end of the week, all our heaters will be sold out, all like 23. We probably have to buy some more. And then we have these new tent heaters that we're using as tent heaters, but we call them tent space heaters technically. But these bazookas, hope we can show a photo of it. I think all those are rented out this week because they were rented out last week too. Because you got 3 of them. The regular tent heaters rented out, and then these new bazooka heaters were rented out too. And now we have to buy another one this week. We had 3, 1, and then it's be the 5 for those things. And those usually take from people kind of want to rent something from the like instead like a patio heater. They generally would rent this because we try and push them towards this. It's cheaper for us. And on top, what does it run off of?
It runs off of diesel.
Yeah, so it runs off diesel, so that's not a little bit cheaper fuel right there, I think, right?
Yeah, for sure. And the good thing I like about this versus like sometimes whenever it's really cold, it's hard to find the propane supplier because everybody, like when it's cold, everything's on demand. And one thing with diesel, I can go to a pump and pump diesel, no problem. Propane, like I'll go to places like U-Haul or what have you to go do a refill, which is cheaper. And they'll be like, oh, we're out of propane. Everybody's getting propane because it's cold. So just one thing to keep in mind, it's good to have those patio heaters, but it's good to have a plan B just in case you can't get the fuel source.
Okay, so that's pretty much stuff. I use that data from this stuff from previous years, use what people are requesting, use these 2 forms. Is the easiest way to get exactly what people do. That's what we use for the most part. Yeah. Now, if you're just starting out, that's what these next section is going to be. If you're just starting out. But we're going to get over that after Tina does what these.
So actually, I have a statistic for this, and it says that according to McKinsey Global Institute, data-driven organizations are not only 23 times more likely to acquire customers, but they're also 6 times as likely to retain customers and 19 times more likely to be profitable.
Yeah, that's probably 100% out there true. If you're not using any type of data, which some of you guys are not, so
they're buying water slides. And it's like it's freezing outside. Like the kids are gonna love this.
Like up in his head. Now, I'm not trying to say that, like, obviously, like, there's deals going on right now, so you can buy stuff, but
Oh yeah.
don't be buying stuff and expecting to go out in the winter. But just data as a whole just works. We use data like for all basically majority of our decisions on some form or some way that we look at from everything.
Yeah, and then if they don't have like for instance, we've created a system that does that for us. But if they don't have that ability, you can always just use pen and paper and then just put it somewhere. So next year you can open it up and say, okay. Or sometimes like during the spring, like they're trying to get rid of all the winter stuff that they didn't sell, and they'll have it super cheap, and it's your time to get it then. That way you can like profit from it whenever the time comes, like in the winter time.
Yeah, because we have this thing inside the software that we basically made. You push the demand for any item, and it has all the items that come up that people have requested in their quotes and the quantity of how many times they requested it. So that's something that we use out. Maybe your software has that, probably doesn't. But but if it does, this is something that we figured out. I know Tina said she's gonna put a link down below. We're looking at possibly selling our software in the future, maybe. Depends on if Eddie allows it to go out. But we're gonna be looking into it. But just drop your email down in the link that's gonna be up here right now, if you think we should do that. Because we're just trying to just build a better software all around. So now that you have gotten through everything right there, so like you've done all your own data, use everything you can from this part. Now let's say that let's say you just starting right now, and you don't have anything, because we've been in a situation. Well, it's an easy thing to do. You need to figure out what other people are doing. So a good way to kind of determine this right here is looking at weather standpoint and the time zone standpoint. Typically in the Texas area, we're kind of on more of a milder climate.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Nothing like up north.
Yeah. So like, it might, I would say skeet or slow. What is it called? Sleet.
Sleet.
It might sleet or snow. Sorry, I'm from Florida. We don't be having these type of things here. But it might sleet or snow in Texas, and at least in Dallas area. Maybe 1 week out of the year for 2-3 days, they might stay on the ground. And people will have a huge issue. The roads will close down. You have dump trucks out here dropping off sand everywhere like crazy. It'll be like, we're not really prepared for that stuff. But for most of the year, the roads are drivable. It might be storms and stuff happening. We're in a tornado area at the very bottom. We have a little bit of everything here that's terrible, besides hurricanes.
Yeah.
But generally from that right there, so like let's go through weather. So from my understanding, and I think Freddie's understanding too, the best place to rent anywhere in the country is probably like in that South California area, where the weather is like pristine basically all year round. That's basically what you want to get close to. Kind of like how if you like, how like in France, in like Florence, I don't know it's called Florence, but it's one place over there. I think maybe it's in Spain, maybe it's not in France, but it's somewhere over there where like the weather is like that mild Middle East, not like what's that thing that goes around is it Middle Eastern? Not Middle Eastern, but it's the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean Ocean. Mediterranean Ocean.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, you want some Mediterranean food. But in that Mediterranean climate, it's kind of like you want that type of climate. I think that comes up in like bottom of Florida, kind of towards the Keys and Miami area. Those are like the pristine areas where stuff just all year round, you're kind of around that 65 to 80 degree range, which you can basically do anything in there and people are willing to go outside. It's not going to snow. It's not going to burn like hell out here like it does in Texas, where you'll be at like, what was the temperatures at? It was like 115, some crazy stuff over here. On my actually house thing, I'll show a photo of it. It was like 127 set outside. And then remember that one guy who was like, McKinney's dead, because it said 11,115 or something like that on the screen.
Everyone in McKinney is dead. The temperature, the heat index right now in McKinney is 10,000. What is that? 101,105. It's hot in McKinney.
Generally with weather, if you're gonna be in Midwest, what would you say like is the things like what would be the time zones you think in Midwest?
I'm horrible at time zone.
Yeah, okay.
And my phone's not changing it. I don't know.
I mean weather.
What about the weather?
Just about the time, like weather-wise. So I know right now from my clients and stuff like that they're basically, the season is wrapping up for them now.
Yeah.
Pretty much from now until to whenever it stops snowing in a little bit. I think that's like late February. They're kind of going to go dead.
So basically, you need to start renting out snow plows.
Yeah. Well, that will work if you can rent out. If that maybe that is a thing they do. Maybe instead of just doing straight part rentals, maybe during another time you have a small equipment rental business.
Or maybe they offer like a whole service where they'll get the people safely to the party, and then there'll be like a nice heated up tent for them. It'll all be part of the package. You get like a big old F-450, like with the 3 rows, and then just go pick up everybody with the snowplow.
So like party Uber.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but for the most part, for weather, if it's colder generally in the wintertime, you're gonna get less business. And a lot of places that are like a little bit like maybe you're in Chicago, but you're like in Chicago at Metroplex, but you're like in Aurora or you're in Naperville or any of those places, which is more suburban areas. You're gonna have issues with getting a lot of work because most people are not doing backyard parties. Because basically during the winter, people just don't throw that many backyard parties in colder areas. But corporations still have their events and stuff at the end of the year. You see people throwing those galas, all that stuff at the end of the year, and you'll be able to rent out a lot of dinnerware, linens, nice chairs, all that stuff like that. But the biggest thing is what you need to look at what your venues are doing in your areas. If your venues get no business, like if the best venue in your area gets no business during the winter, then like you pretty much what is that word? That's something out of luck. SOL.
Yep.
Yeah.
Time to go into hibernation.
Yeah,
wait till better conditions to come out.
Yeah, because that happens to some places and some people. Now, if you're like in the middle of the Metroplex, like you're in Chicago, in the city, which I don't know how much your rent is down there, but whatever, say you're still in that area, they clear the roads up faster. You're going to have a lot of corporations still having stuff. Maybe you don't do lots of chairs and table stuff for regular people. Maybe you do it for big organizations or corporations and stuff that you do it for. Because they're going to have like Christmas Inn parties, New Year Eve party, all these things that's going on. And all these dinners, especially at the end of the year, you have these when people meet up with investors. All this stuff is going on in the city.
Yeah, so basically they're trying to dump their budget by the end of the year, whatever they have left. That way they don't lose it the following year.
And the best way to find business and corporate actually clients is what we learned is actually doing the same thing you did on Google AdWords, but putting it on Bing, because it's the most corporate companies. It's the default browser that comes on the window PCs that people actually put like when they do the Dells and HP stuff. And then you have to look at the time zone because now like it feels like it'd be like 6 o'clock and it feels like 11. I know here in Texas. I'm
Right about that. I already sleep at like 7:30.
I'm like, you're driving. So like you have to look into that too because stuff gets done earlier. So parties are going to be starting earlier just because of the time zone. But people still have to work though. So there's just less events that go on to that. But you still have some stuff that goes on. But generally, time zone is going to affect it. Your weather. Like if you're like you're like in Miami right now where people are still on jet skis down there. Like if people are riding jet skis in your area, you're doing a good job.
You're good to go.
You're good to go at any point in time. Because they don't care about being in the water at all. And I don't mean no crazy people either. I mean like regular people like that. So Miami is probably still popping. And I know I was in Tampa this other weekend and it was not like Texas at all. It felt good over there. It was like perfect actually. But it's right off the coast. So closer you get to the coast, it'd be good. Now, like in New York City, it might just be a terrible thing to do because you got to be, first of all, in traffic. You got all these other issues going on, tight stuff. But like maybe if you're like a little bit out of the main city, maybe it still might be okay and still stuff going on. But usually the stuff can be in like corporate stuff. Generally, just look at what your venues and stuff are doing. And usually if the venues are doing well and still doing business, I mean, there's still parties being thrown, which means you can be a part of it. You just get the stuff that the venue needs. So you need to call up to the venues, ask them what stuff that they don't have and what stuff they need, and figure that out to be able to determine what you should actually do.
NRF forecasts that holiday spending will reach record levels during November and December and will grow between 3% and 4% over 2022 to between $957.3 billion and $966.6 billion.
Okay, so they're going to grow. Yeah, so basically holiday sales. One thing that I was telling you about is that like I realized that like generally after Thanksgiving, it's like the week after Thanksgiving is pretty bad. But this year, I was talking to Eddie. We was thinking about like realistically, like people are spending the most amount of money right now. Like you have Black Friday sales, Cyber Monday sales, Cyber Week sales, all that stuff like that kind of go on. So like, why aren't we getting a piece of this? If people are spending majority of the money they spend all year round in a matter of a week or so. So I know for us, we started offering some of these sales out too as well. Maybe we can show a couple versions of the emails we sent out. And that kind of worked pretty well for us. It took like a time period where we might only make like $1,000 in these 3-day period and turn it into like a $15,000 kind of period. So we were able to make some extra money and put some stuff on the table and then kind of work out. And I think that's like a big thing is about like, you need to be looking like at what other consumer-based companies are doing, like e-commerce or like any of those places that they sell and stuff and having similar packages or similar deals that you can do it. And so like for us, even like having like a kind of like a doorbuster thing, kind of stuff. I want to play with that nature, see what we can do to kind of offer something at a really, really cheap rate that maybe we even technically offer it at a loss that a lot of people need, so we can get stuff in there. So I don't know, but I know the first thing I was thinking about that. You know what I was thinking?
What?
Free delivery.
Free delivery?
Yeah.
No.
Free delivery in a certain standpoint as a doorbuster and get
And then
people
tell
in.
them they have to give a gratitude or whatever, so that way they're like, I'm not paying.
Not that again.
They get pissed.
Yeah, I don't know about free delivery, but you want some type of doorbuster. Maybe it's not free, but maybe it's at what would be the break-even point for us?
Or people like free delivery from like 7 to midnight.
That'd be fine then. 7 to midnight, 10 miles from the warehouse.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
If you're looking to start or grow your equipment rental business, you need to check out the Ultimate Checklist. The Ultimate Checklist. This is the #1 source that we have made that will get you to making more money in your equipment rental business. It is basically made with a whole bunch of stuff. And Eddie, tell them about the new cover we just put on there.
Oh yeah, Tina worked very hard for the nice graphics we have in the front.
And the best part of the Ultimate Checklist is
It's free.
it's free. Say it in Spanish.
Gratis.
Gratis. Go ahead and get it. If you need the Ultimate Checklist, get Ultimate Checklist. This is the #1 source of rental knowledge. So now that you know your weather and your time zone, you kind of know what that goes in there. The next thing you have to worry about when you're starting a rental company, or if you're already in a rental company right now, is how close you are to the Metroplex. So I'm gonna give you an example out in Dallas right now. So like our warehouse is literally in Dallas, North Dallas, I would say. If you're a rental company and you're in, what's someplace far from Dallas? But still in kind of the Metroplex.
Forney or something like that?
Okay, let's do Austin. Austin's a better version because too many damn cities in Dallas.
No, it's okay. We need to stay home.
No, we gotta go. We gotta go out. Let's get in the car.
Okay.
All right, we're in Austin now. So if you see the Austin map on here somewhere, you see there's like Austin's main area, and then you have at the very top Lake Travis, Cypress. But then at the bottom you have something, and then you have San Marcos. So in Austin, the interesting part about Austin right here is like if you're inside the city point right now, where all the culture's at, like there's a lot of activity going on. But as we've seen, most of the venues are the really nice wedding venues are over to the side over here to the top of the Cypress. So at the further you go into Austin, you go into like the hill country out next to Fredericksburg and stuff like that. That's more where the wine vineyards and stuff are. Like if you're out there trying to sell rentals in that immediate 30-minute radius, it's gonna be very hard versus in the winter versus if you're smack dab in the middle of Austin, right off of 35. Like that's gonna be very difficult to do right there. So as you can see on these maps, and you can see the distance between each other, and you see how maybe in the actual wedding season, being in Fredericksburg would be better because there's a lot more vineyards, there's a lot more venues that are very expensive venues, and you can do a lot more things out there. You might make a lot more money during that time just because it's just more wedding stuff going on. But during the winter, when there's less weddings going on, it's just more corporate businesses. Where there's more businesses in the Austin than there are, in Fredericksburg, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. By far. So that's the biggest thing you have to watch out for with this, how close you are to the Metroplexes and stuff like that. Because I know for us, we had a Fort Worth office, we had a Frisco office, and we had an urban office, and our Fort Worth office didn't do as much business as the Frisco or urban office for some reason. Tennessee, Fort Worth is bigger than all those locations, but also could have something to do with where we were at in Fort Worth was not so much of the best area, and people didn't make that much money. Probably too. Maybe that was in Frisco, where we're in Frisco, was like one of the highest amounts of money places. They were building a lot of homes, a lot of new builds and stuff. A lot of money was being spent over there. And in Irvin, we were in a predominantly Spanish area where people do a lot of parties and stuff at, and we had a large base of people in those areas.
I know what you're.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I already know what you. Because like, I'll just say it. So basically, like you said, the new builds in Frisco, they're predominantly like Middle Eastern type of people. And then one thing they always do when they have a new house, they always throw a party. That's part of their culture. And so when they're getting these new houses, these new builds, they're throwing parties, so which is great for us. So basically why we were thriving so well in Frisco. And then the dollar per house is pretty high in that specific area because I don't know, they're like, what do the houses go for? They're like $500,000, something like that, and up.
And then also too, people just have better paying jobs over there, like too, better paying job, higher, what do you call it, higher salaries or home income, what do you call it?
Yeah, salaries
and stuff, and generally because those people also too, they're less, they're less blue collar workers over there. So there's less people willing to do the work, which means they're willing to pay for the work. So you have a lot more white collar workers. And most of them, I think too, like a lot of people we talk to are always in some type of technical, role or something like that. So that was a big reason out there. And then that's the same thing that was kind of in Irving too, because we were in Irving, you have Lost Cleanest and you have Compel, and there's a large group over there too as well. So you have lots of area over there too, which is and since also too from a minority standpoint, they have higher paying jobs there. They still throw lots of events and stuff over there too. And now that we're in Dallas, we're literally like less than like 2 or 3 miles from the most expensive area in Texas, which is Highland Park. If you're from Highland Park, reach out to us. On rent, don't be scared to spend a little money. So Highland Park is actually inside of Dallas, completely surrounded by Dallas, on both sides, on all sides, all 4 sides. And then you'll see Highland Park is literally scratched out. It's like the best area has been taken out of Dallas and made into its own city. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's basically kind of like its own county. So I have the information for this. The median household income in Highland Park, Texas is $234,427.
Yeah, so basically, their tax is going to have to change according to where they're at in their Metroplex and their population in that area.
Yeah, I looked at something like in a 30-mile radius, there's like 8 million people live right near us. I think I was looking at something like that or something crazy. It was like 8 million or 10 million. I don't know. It was a lot in this area. And then I looked in Dallas. It said that Dallas is going to be the biggest if everything stays the same. I found there's an article somewhere, but Dallas by like 2030 or 2050, one or two, going to be the biggest market in the United States. But yeah, so that's pretty much right there from the Metroplex stuff. So now we go back to Tina.
So the statistic that I have for this is when it comes to cost, rural Americans are generally the most price-sensitive shoppers. But this trend too had a surprising regional twist. Rural Northeasterners are the most price-conscious group in the U.S., with 59% saying their first priority when shopping is price and 6% higher than any other rural group.
Southeastern, so what is that, like South Carolina, Georgia?
Mississippi.
No, that makes sense, Mississippi. You ain't got much money in there. So I can see something like that.
Florida, too.
No, man, no.
Southeast.
It might be Southeast, but Florida is nothing like those other places. And if you live in Florida, you know that. Ain't nothing like that. There's some paradises in Florida. It's paradise. If you have the money to live there and you retire after you start your rental business after 20 years and it's running for you and sending you checks. Yeah. But we'll do a video on that when we retire, Eddie.
I'm not retiring.
You are retiring.
Oh, because I'm going to die.
Well, that's what Lily said she was planning on. So the next step right here. Now we're going to get number 4. This is the bonus section right here. And this is what we're going to go over what's working for us right now. So I'm going to let Eddie go through what he thinks is working. So Eddie, what's your top 5 stuff that renting out right now the most?
Teddy bears. I'm just kidding. Tents, heaters, sidewalls, tables and chairs.
Tables and chairs.
Yes.
What type of tables and chairs?
6 foot, so rectangle tables.
Yeah.
And then just basic chairs.
Basic chairs.
Yeah.
I think this week and last week we have a little bit more dishware going out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, I think when we push out this new marketing stuff we're about to do, we're going to sell them a lot more dinnerware. We don't really show it that much on the website. You only will see it if you go into the quote. That's it. And most people, by the time then, they already haven't looked at it. But our new stuff, that should be a bigger thing that we do. Like our dish department has grew a lot alongside our linens and stuff as well. Mm-hmm. Like the linens have done pretty well for us lately. Because they just, they go along with everything. But there's going to be a lot of corporate events and stuff. Like I seen already for this week, most of our chairs are already rented out, like the basic chairs, just because, like Eddie said, they're doing corporate events and stuff, so it's a little bit easier. So Tina, what do you think is the items, because when you do go to the warehouse one time a week, what do you see as the items that you think rent out the most during this time?
Honestly, chairs. I see chairs all the time. That's literally one of the only things I see at the warehouse that's just always stacked up, either ready to go in or it's just dropped off. I would say recently I've been seeing more heaters too. I just wouldn't say as much as chairs.
It makes sense. We have a lot more chairs than heaters. So yeah, I can see that. And chairs take longer to clean. Right now we're going to go into the rental rundown.
The first question that I have for the rental rundown is, what can I do in terms of getting equipment that'll sell in the winter if I'm a specialized rental company?
I think one thing that we've mentioned is subleasing or finding somebody that already has that equipment. That way you don't have any kind of investment. Because and I know a lot of you guys are probably watching this because you're starting to see it slow down in the money. And sometimes you don't have the funding or the budget to just go out and start investing in some of this equipment that does very well in the slow season or the winter time for us. So a lot of good things is just go out there, making friends with the other people, and maybe have a ability where you can sell the stuff where they can't move it, and you make a partnership that way and make money on top of it. When you do zero, you don't do any of the work. You just collect the money.
Yeah, pretty much straightforward. Especially like if you say you're doing say you specialize in bounce houses, and realistically, there might be some stuff going out, but depending on where you are, if you're like in Wisconsin or something like this, somewhere in there, like it's gonna be very difficult right now for you to get these bounce houses out for the most part. But maybe people are still throwing these events, and maybe you partner up, like Eddie said too. Maybe you partner with a tent company if you don't have tents for that. Maybe you partner with someone else so you can sell to these same customers on there. But one thing people don't understand, if it snows regularly in your area, try to rent out stuff that people can have events can use during the snow. Like I've seen people rent out sleds and different things on that line too. I haven't seen, what's that thing that people drive?
Snowmobile?
A snowmobile. If you have one of those, maybe rent that out too.
That sounds perfect. Need to get to work and everything's snowed in, can't get on the road, just get snowmobile.
Yeah, do the Uber snowmobile thing. Even though for us, because we have like freak snowstorms, so they're like here one day and gone the next. But if you have like consistent stuff going on a regular basis, and people are gonna have snow days, like instead of people going to buy sleds, what if you go buy a whole bunch of sleds and you rent those out? Yeah. And that could be just another part of your business that you do. Or maybe if you find somebody who has a bunch of sleds and you can just use it. You don't have to own all the equipment. You can find somebody else who has it who might not be using it. It don't have to just be a rental company. That can be any other source. Like I know down in Houston, my aunt has this guy, he reviews generators. And they send him generators, he reviews them. And then at the end, sometimes he sells them, sometimes he keeps them. So she started renting out his generators and giving him a cut, and it just worked out. You just got to just talk to people, get out there, and just figure it out. If you've worked on anything like this right here already and work with any other type of businesses and that you've, been able to figure some type of solution out for them, put it down in the comment. We'd love to hear about that too.
All right, so the next question is, in your opinion, is it worth it to get items that'll sit in storage for half a year, especially if someone doesn't have a large storage space or warehouse facility?
It depends how much money I'm making on these items. Like, for instance, once the winter season, passes, these heaters and all these equipment, like propane tanks and stuff like that, we're going to be storing them because for the most part, we're not going to use them. But the propane tanks, we did this that way we can kind of make money off it. That way it's not just standing there and taking up space. But we have like grills and stuff that uses propane. So during like the spring and the summer, people rent out grills and we use those same tanks that we use for the heaters. So I would say yes, it's fine, but I have to be able to justify carrying it through the time that we're not going to use it. So I got to see how much money it's going to make during that time that it is actually in use. That way I can say, okay, well, for the 5 or 6 months or whatever it's going to be stored, it's gonna bring its value in just those couple of months that it is in use.
And so for that, what did you say that was like I know you put up a couple items for the winter. Which items did you put up?
Oh, for the winter, what do we put up?
Yeah.
Like the evaporated coolers. That's the main thing that we put up. That the bounce houses, well, we only have one now, but it doesn't go out that much. But it's so small, it goes inside a venue. So that's kind of like the reason why we kept that specific size.
And the fans.
And the fans, yeah, you're right. And the fans.
So I guess if it's worth it, if you can get something that goes out on a regular basis, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we just swap it. So when the evaporated coolers, the fans and stuff come down, the heaters go up in that same spot.
Yes, exactly.
So that's pretty much, and I think even too, because we're gonna have more and more heaters this year than we have next year, and we're gonna keep building, and we still need to go buy one more set. So when you actually get the January, we have the numbers to actually be able to. Because when it gets really cold in Texas, people get crazy. People are like, I need like 10 patio heaters. I'm like, why don't you just move this inside? They're like, no, just look at my backyard. It looks beautiful.
It's frozen.
It's frozen. It's like, it's a winter wonderland.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you see people do that too as well. Now, I want to say, guys, if you haven't already, could you do us one favor for us? Can you review the Ultimate Checklist? I want to put a link right here, or Tina is going to put a link right here to review the Ultimate Checklist. If you already got any value, a crumb of value, a nugget of value, can you please give us a 5-star review? If I see a 4-star review on here, I'm going to cry.
And you're going to find the IP address and find where they're at.
You know it. But please, guys, help us out. We're just trying to get this more out to more people to help everybody out, and also so we can put more resources into it to help you guys out. So if you haven't already, make sure you get the Ultimate Checklist Make sure you like and subscribe to this video immediately. And also to comment down what you think we need to add to our checklist that we've been talking about that's not there. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Xavier Kelly.
I'm Eddie Sauceda.
And we are the Rental Boys, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
If you like this video and you would like to watch more of marketing or just any tactics behind building your business, please click this playlist over here for all of our podcast videos.
Ba 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 ba.
I'm loving it.